Ladies and gentlemen, boils and ghouls, creatures of the night, welcome back to a Face for Horror podcast. My name is Chris, but you can call me Moon. Thank you so much for joining me for this very special episode. So as anyone who's followed the podcast so far knows, I started off doing YouTube videos. I have quite a few friends in the YouTube horror community. And one of them is a guy by the name of Erschen, and I will link his channel in the description for this podcast. He has done a tag video, and I want to respond and give my answers to it. So I thought it would make a nice little bonus episode for the podcast. He has 13 questions, all about horror movie sequels. This is a response to a tag that was done a couple of years ago or last year. Around this time, it's Halloween time when I'm recording this. So, yeah, this is going to be, he has 13 questions all about horror movie sequels, and I'm going to give my answers. So his first question is, favorite underrated horror sequel? Well, one of my all-time favorites in the franchise, and it is, again, my favorite of the big four franchises, is Friday the 13th Part 5. Always enjoyed this one. I know a lot of people hate it because it's the not Jason movie, but I love how it's very reminiscent of the original. I like the Roy character. I like his version of Jason. It's still a big dude with a hockey mask, just messing people up, and it's got a huge body count, and it's always been one of my favorites. So, question number 2 is your all-time favorite slasher sequel. Well, I don't want to repeat myself, but I am going to stick with the Friday the 13th franchise, just not the same episode. I love Part 5, but it's not my favorite. But Part 6 is. Jason Lives is my favorite sequel in that franchise. I like Tom Matthews, who plays Tommy in this one, is my favorite Tommy. Megan is a great final girl. Tommy is a great final guy. There's some real tension in that one because there are actually kids at the camp. It's got some great kills and a great soundtrack. So number 3 is a sequel that you like but others hate. So for this one, my answer is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. I know a lot of people hate this one. They really do. But I like it. I enjoy the hell out of this one. I think it's a great sequel to the original. I would rank it above all of the original sequels. So, despite the fact that there's some cheesy lines and some dumb things in it, but the franchise is known for that after the first one anyway. So, if you can get into the spirit of it, it's a fun sequel. It's got some bad CGI in it, but you know what? It was a low budget movie, so I can overlook that because it's just gory fun. So, question number 4 is your favorite sequel that is a sequel in name only. That would be Prom Night Part 2, Hello Mary Lou, or Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night Part 2. Whichever direction you want to call it. It is, the original Prom Night is boring as hell. To put it bluntly, it's boring as hell. But it's a straight up slasher. Prom Night 2 is a ghost story. It's a haunting. Has some great kills in it. The locker kill has some really weird moments in it that I really love because they're just so absolutely what the fuck. Great sequel, great movie. So question number 5 is your favorite part 2. My favorite part 2, well, this one isn't necessarily my favorite, but my actual favorite part 2 fit better on another question, so I'm going to go with this one because I love the sequel, and that is Psycho 2. I think it's a great sequel. I think Anthony Perkins did a great job with it. I will never say that it's better than the original Psycho because it's not. It's not a better movie. But honestly, for me, it's more rewatchable. I love the first one. I respect the hell out of what it did. But for me, this is more my tone. Um, so part two is Psycho Part Two is my favorite part two in a franchise. So question number 6 is your favorite part three in a franchise. This answer will also fit for the next question. Um, so, uh, but my answer for favorite part three is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Uh, Freddy is at his peak in this one. Great cast. Um, Everything about it is fun. The kills are good. The supporting characters are good. The final girl, both Nancy as well as Kristen, are great. Wonderful to see Nancy Heather Langenkamp and John Saxon come back for this one. And it fits this question and it fits the next one. And question number 7 is a sequel that you enjoy more than the original. So my answer for this one could have easily been Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It kind of could have been Psycho because honestly, as much as I like the original, for my own personal enjoyment, Psycho 2 I like better than the original. But my answer for this one is going to be Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn. It amps up everything that was great about the first one. The budget, Ash's character when he goes from being Ashley to being Ash, and the Ash that we all know and love. It's for me, it's better than the original. So that's my answer for number 7. So number 8 is worst horror sequel ever. Anybody who follows me on YouTube knows my answer for this one. But since I haven't shared it here on the podcast, a movie that I absolutely I may have actually mentioned it, I can't remember. But a movie that I absolutely despise. I hate it with a passion. There is no redeeming this movie for me. And that's Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. I think I did actually mention that in the Halloween episode, but I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but honestly, I absolutely hate that movie. So, question number 9 is your favorite prequel. I got 2 answers on this one. One is my actual favorite, and one is nowhere near my favorite, but it's so much fun I want to mention it. And the honorable mention on that one is Orphan First Kill. The first Orphan movie was really good. It was really dramatic. It was really solid. It had a good atmosphere. All the horror things that you could want from a creepy kid, killer kid movie. And this one gets some of that, but it also is very tongue-in-cheek in places. It's very much a good time, a fun movie. Doesn't take itself too serious. It understands that, the lead actress in it is not a child anymore. So that's kind of my honorable mention on that one. One I want to shout out because I recently watched that one last year, I guess. Now, so it wasn't that recent. But anyway, I watched that one last year and I really loved that one. Had a lot of fun with it. But as of right now, my favorite prequel would have to be Prey. And that's the one from last year that was the Predator prequel. I really enjoyed the cast in that. There was a couple of scenes in it that I could have absolutely done without. There were a couple of scenes in that one that actually kind of hurt its own narrative. But 95% of this movie is awesome, and it's right up there with the original. It's not, the original has a lot of nostalgia for me. I saw that one in the theaters on a birthday trip. But Prey is a very close second in that franchise. All right, so number 10 is a sequel with all of the elements to be good but failed. So another movie that's on my I hate and despise list is Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. This movie had returning cast members, had a solid final girl, was the original director, and somehow he completely missed the boat on his own sequel. Um, and I'm kind of in the mind that he may have actually been intentionally trying to keep from being more sequels made. It kind of feels like he was intentionally trying to kill the franchise, at least to me. So question number 11 is a sequel that derailed the franchise. Sleepaway Camp 2. I love the original Sleepaway Camp. I have so much fun with that. It's actually coming up next month on the podcast for me to talk about. The second one, not so much. It's got its moments, and I like the fact that it's to a degree a horror comedy. I don't like the girl that plays Angela in this one. I like the original much better. The campy tone of it is a little bit too much. It's a little heavy-handed in places. And actually, I really liked it when I first saw it because it was in that era. But there's some commentary in that just didn't hold up over the years. So yeah, that's one that just derailed the franchise because I haven't seen anything but 1, 2, and 3. I'm not a huge fan of 2, and I don't like 3. So question number 12 is the best made, most faithful sequel, but not necessarily your favorite. So we're going back to Friday the 13th for this one, and this is going to be a controversial hot take on this one. Part 4, the final chapter. I'm really not a fan. For one thing, I absolutely despise Crispin Glover. I don't like his character. I don't like him. Everything about him just makes my teeth itch. I don't think that Corey Feldman does a great job as Tommy. And then I can't remember any of the other characters. There's not a single other character in that movie other than Jason that I can actually really remember. Crispin Glover, character name I don't even know, but Crispin Glover and the dude that he hung around with, and Corey Feldman as Tommy, and everything else is just kind of a wash. And God, I've seen that movie 20 times. It's just not. It's kind of middle of the pack at best. It's actually a little bit below the middle for me. All right, so our last question, number 13, is your overall favorite horror sequel. Aliens. I don't really know if there's a lot that needs to be said about that one, but Aliens. Sigourney Weaver, a great cast surrounding her, the relationship between her and Newt, the look of the mother alien, everything about that whole sequence. Bishop the robot, Lance Hendrickson is redeems the android from the first one. Really makes you care about him, and really and everybody really makes you care about them. It's such a great sequel. It's kind of verging on action. It's definitely heavy sci-fi, obviously, but it's still got those horror elements, and it's overall my favorite sequel. So hope everyone enjoyed this bonus episode. If you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the podcast, please rate us. I am now on Spotify, Apple, not on Apple. So I'm sorry. I am now on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, and Amazon Podcast. So give us a rating on there. Give us a write. Tell us what you think. If you'd like to contact the podcast, I have an email. It is a face for the number 4 horror at yahoo.com. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, y'all be good, y'all be safe, and y'all have a good one.